$1.39 billion. That was the number the bankruptcy courts put on a lie RadioShack had been telling customers for years. The store was still open, still red, still called RadioShack. Inside, the problem-solving stop people trusted was disappearing one merchandising decision at a time. By the time the bankruptcy filing made it official on February 5, 2015, the store people counted on had been disappearing for years. The bankruptcy did not kill RadioShack, it just put a date on the death certificate. What changed first was not the sign, it was the job the store was built to do. For decades, RadioShack was the only store in every strip mall in America that existed for the person holding something broken with no idea what part to ask for. It was the neighborhood problem-solving stop. Roughly 2,300 square feet, and every inch of it was working. A wall of batteries ran along one side under the Enercell name. Metal cabinets held little drawers that had been pulled out by thousands of hands. Adapters hung on pegs that nobody else stocked. Coax cable came in every length a customer would need. The employee behind the counter could tell you what a splitter was, and most of the time he could tell you which drawer held the one you needed. A parent could walk in and grab a fresh 9-volt battery for a smoke detector. A teenager could buy enough speaker wire to run it under a carpet. A kid could stand at the parts wall and leave with the exact resistor an older brother had written down on a napkin. In 1969, the store started selling science fair kits, little spring connector boards that turned an afternoon into a working siren. None of that was the point was the errand. When something small broke on a Saturday, you knew where to go. The chain was founded in 1921 by two brothers, Theodore and Milton Deutschman, in a small Boston shopfront selling radio gear to ham operators and ship officers. In April of 1963, a Fort Worth leather company called Tandy bought it for about $300,000 when it was down to 9 stores and running out of money. Tandy rebuilt it into something very specific, a neighborhood problem-solving stop. By 1999, there were 7,186 of them across the United States. And the company liked to tell reporters that 94% of Americans lived or worked within 5 minutes of one. That was the promise. And corporate began quietly to walk away from it. The break happened in merchandising decisions, one season at a time, and the customer noticed before the press did. In 1993, Tandy sold off most of its manufacturing operations. The house brands that had built the store, Realistic, Archer, Micronta, and Optimus, began to thin out on the shelves. In the mid-1990s, the company publicly shifted its focus away from small components and toward wireless phones. In 1998, the first Sprint kiosks appeared inside the stores. By 2011, the wireless segment had crossed 51.4% of net sales. For the first time in the company's history, more than half of the business was phone plans. A full wall of parts became a corner of parts, then a single rack, then a line of drawers at the back, and then nothing at all. A customer who walked in looking for a capacitor in 2005 could usually find it in a drawer. A customer who walked in for the same capacitor in 2011 was told it would have to be ordered online, 4 to 6 business days. The people behind the counter changed too. Employees worked minimum wage plus about 2% commission, with management pressure on every visit to sell a plan, a service agreement, an accessory, or an email sign-up. A single phone activation took roughly 45 minutes of floor time. That meant the customer who just needed a fuse had quietly become an interruption. By the early 2010s, outside customer experience rankings were already placing RadioShack at the bottom of major American retail, 6 years running. The press had not yet caught up, the customers already had. Picture a man walking in late on a Thursday for a power adapter. One employee is on the floor, 40 minutes into a phone contract with a couple he has never met. The man waits 10 minutes. He looks at the pegs. The adapter he needs is not hanging where it used to hang. He leaves empty-handed and picks one up 2 weeks later from an online cart. He does not come back next week. He does not come back next year. A woman walks in for a specific length of coax cable and finds an empty section of pegboard. A grandfather walks in for a garage door opener battery and is asked for his email address twice before he can pay. None of these people write a complaint. They just go somewhere else next time. The parts wall died first, then the errand, then the habit, then the store. In August of 2009, under CEO Julian Day, the company rebranded itself as The Shack. The internet mocked the name, but the name only confirmed what the store had already stopped being. By 2013, the company was running on borrowed time. A large financing package kept the lights on, backed by the stores themselves. So when management tried in 2014 to close about 1,100 underperforming locations, the lender refused. The company was now too indebted to shrink and too thin to grow. A New York hedge fund called Standard General stepped in and effectively took control. From the outside, that looked like a rescue. From inside the stores, it was a countdown. On February 5, 2015, RadioShack filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Assets of $1.2 billion versus debts of $1.39 billion. The company recorded 11 consecutive quarterly losses. On the same day, Sprint announced it would take roughly one-third of the floor space inside 1,435 co-branded stores, with its own signage on the outside of the building. The courts were catching up to what the aisles had been telling customers for 15 years. At its peak in 1999, RadioShack had 7,186 U.S. stores. Within 2 years of the bankruptcy filing, fewer than 70 corporate stores remained. If you walked into a RadioShack in 2014, you would have recognized the feeling even if you could not name it. The room had gotten quieter. Former employees reported going hours on the floor without seeing a single customer. Bloomberg Businessweek called it a slow-motion collapse. What had once been the side of the store where people found one small, specific thing was now a half-stocked aisle leading to a phone display. RadioShack did not run out of customers, it trained them to stop coming. The name did not die with the stores. The RadioShack brand was sold twice after bankruptcy and now sits with new owners. A website carrying the RadioShack name still loads today, selling Bluetooth earbuds, gaming chairs, and light bulb security cameras. A few storefronts still carry the red lettering. The storefront survived the store, the sign survived the promise. And if a kid walked in today with a resistor number written on a napkin, who is the store for now?